If you've been keeping up with the news over the last 10 to 20 years, you've probably heard about the climate crisis. What do you feel when you think about it? Do you feel anxious? Maybe a little stressed? Or maybe you're a little skeptical about if the numbers are really true. Regardless of how you feel, there's really only one question that we need to ask. Why do we feel this way? Why do we feel so negative about climate change, rather than being empowered or maybe feeling a call to action? When scientists first began to uncover the horrors of climate change, many people were skeptical, questioning the findings at each turn. The fact of the matter is, most people can't quantify some of those massive numbers that get brought into play when discussing climate change. In turn, activists and scientists turned to other strategies to convince others of the severity. They started to appeal to one's emotions through ad campaigns, newsletters, protests, and every other way they could get their message out. What emotions did they use? Fear and anger. And now here we are, some 50 odd years later, being anxious and afraid instead of taking action to stand for what we care about. But luckily, I have a solution. And that solution is to sit down and laugh just a little more. Let me explain. Humor, whether it be through physical or digital mediums, has many effects on the human psyche. When a person laughs, they release many endorphins, like dopamine, into your brain. These endorphins, according to a behavioral science study performed in 2023, will lower a person's perceived stress in that given moment. On top of this, it acts as a sort of brain break from the stress a person may go through on a daily basis, or from an external stressor like climate change. But wait, there's more. That same study shows that humor doesn't just help with the short-term healing, it actually helps with long-term as well. In fact, the researchers found that the humor and laughter helped people focus on the actual problems at hand and the issues that were bothering them, rather than just avoiding the problem and using those kind of coping mechanisms that weren't healthy. And see, that's great, right? Laughter really is the best medicine. But in regards to the topic at hand, that probably leaves you with one question.
What does this have to do with climate change?
What makes this so relevant is the fact that people are genuinely anxious and depressed about climate change. Yale did a study a few years ago and they found that around 3% of the entire US population is anxious or depressed. Well, that's not that much. Well, sure, when you look at it like that, but you have to consider that that's not just regularly anxious or depressed, that's severely anxious or depressed. Oh. Not to mention that that number was once zero, and now it's not. Catholic University of Rome found that there was a correlation between extreme weather events and people's depreciating mental health. And considering the way things have been going in the last 20 years, we're only going to see this get worse and worse. So now we know the severity of people's anxiety and depression due to climate change, and we know that humor and comedy has the ability to help. The question becomes now, how do we do it? Well, one of the most common ways you might end up finding a way to laugh at something is going on the internet. And what better way to find comedy on the internet than internet memes? Now, if you've been on the internet for any period of time, you know there's been different eras of memes, starting out with caricatures and images with text above and below them, all the way to now where we kind of just have TikTok videos and random compilations of things happening. But climate change in meme culture has been around since the very beginning. Beyond internet memes, you have a couple other different options. I mean, there's comedy shows, there's late night specials, there's web comics. And if that doesn't work, you can always just boil it down to chatting it up with friends or family and making jokes. But as long as you're laughing, you'll make a difference. You know, there's other reasons why I would pick humor rather than other forms of entertainment as a way to sort of escape the doom and gloom of environmentalism. And that is its ability to communicate information like no other. That did not go very far. In terms of the environmental crisis and humor being used to spread information about it, there have been two primary examples that I would like to reference. The two main sources that I'm referring to are Bad Environmentalism by Nicole Seymour and a student project play known as Draw Down, Act Up. While both these two sources aren't inherently the same, they both use irony and other forms of humor to spread information about the climate crisis to people in a more digestive manner than freaking them out with fear and hard numbers. And the best part of this, a report from Beth Osnes and Maxwell Boykoff on Drawdown Act Up showed that it had received significantly better support and triggered a lot more activism than traditional ways of spreading information about the climate crisis. All right, so what do we do now? Surely we're not supposed to just laugh at every single thing that happens with the climate crisis, are we? Not necessarily. I'd say the biggest takeaway is to understand that this is not some impossible to complete goal or insurmountable task. It's what's necessary in order to continue living on this planet that we love so dearly. It's just, don't be terrified to take the steps that are necessary. And sometimes just take a break from all the stress that you might be feeling. Give yourself a moment to laugh, to cope, to improve your mental health so that you can then go and improve the world around you.